You know what? I want to start here. Last week, and maybe I'm just a masochist. Maybe I'm just coming back for more. Last week, I wanted to talk to you about homecoming. You said we're locked in on the football game, but now maybe that we're a week removed from it, and you won. So you look back on everything and shine your eyes when you win. How is homecoming, Coach?
A crap show. So a bunch of distractions. So I'm grateful that the event is held for people to come back and enjoy the university, but all the stuff leading up to it is a distraction to our football team. And as a coach personally, every game ought to be like homecoming, where everybody's fired up and the place is packed. There's tailgating galore. There's RVs everywhere. That's what we want it to be. At LSU, I couldn't tell you. At Georgia Southern, I couldn't have told you when homecoming ever was, because it was like that every Saturday. And that's what I want for our place. And that's a goal and a dream, so we'll see if we can get there. But all I heard for the last 12 months was, homecoming's this game. It truly is the next one on the calendar, and when you get to it, great. And obviously you want to win, because the thought crossed my mind midway through the third quarter, if we don't win this thing with all these people here with a sold-out stadium, it won't be good. But I was glad to get through it. It is a trap game of all trap games, because there's all kinds of events all week to pull our guys, distract our guys, just things that can keep you from the ultimate goal of winning. And at the end of the day, you try to protect that, like you're put your fence around and protect your players and keep them focused in on the game. And really everybody else is about everything but the game. So I'm glad we won. It was great to see a lot of former players. After the game, after a win, I did enjoy that for a few minutes, seeing a lot of our guys doing well in society in general, but glad we got the W.
Well, you mentioned it there. You guys do end up winning 49-14, but that might be a little bit deceiving, because this one, as you mentioned, was tight all the way through the beginning portions of the fourth quarter. You guys take a 21-7 lead into halftime, and then it gets, like I said, a little bit tighter from there. They're able to punch a touchdown in the third quarter, and so you go into the fourth up just to score, but your guys really able to hammer it home there in the fourth quarter. 28 unanswered points to, as we said, finish up with that 49-14 win. But, Coach, you guys started out hot on offense. 2 scores. Elijah Carter, again, with another huge run. He hit the spin move for a 73-yard touchdown run. Just a really hot start for your team.
Definitely, he's a man. They call him Quick Six for a reason. He scores and quickly, and a lot of fun to watch. I didn't actually see the first touchdown because I was on the bench with the defensive guys, kind of making some adjustments to something we saw. But good player. Ironically, Christian, we lost our first 3 tailbacks pretty quickly in the game. D'Angelo Durham didn't even play, warmed up, and just wasn't ready to go. And then Shamarcus Poole scored first series and got hurt, and then we were on to our 3rd tailback, and then he got banged up. We're in our 4th one, so it was a little bit of planes, trains, and automobiles. And those guys are really good players, and we missed those guys. And we got out to a lead, and then we just kind of had to sit on it. We weren't able to move the ball as much as we wanted to, and fortunately, we're playing pretty good defense. But give Clark credit. Clark's a well-coached team. I got a lot of respect for their coaches. They do a good job, and their guys battled and got back in the thing. They blocked the punt, and that kind of flip the mojo. Next thing you know, here we go.
And you're talking about the running back depth there, and it is interesting in your offense because so many different people take the ball on handoffs from different positions, but just that running back position, how quickly can an offense get out of sync when you said, like you said, you get to the 3rd, 4th running back, especially inside something where it's supposed to be fluid with that triple option?
Oh, big time. It got scary in a hurry. It was a difference. We got, I think, one of the best guys in the league, and D'Angelo Durham and Shamarcus Poole's played great all year. And when those two went out, we were playing with Demick Colbert, who's a receiver out of Upson Lee that played some quarterback, played some Wildcat. We got a guy from your way, down from Darien, from McIntosh, Trenton Johnson, we think is going to be a great player.
Yeah.
He's been hurt, banged up, doesn't know the playbook quite as much as he needs to, still learning, and he may end up being the guy a year from now. But we were on to some freshmen, and we even had one of our walk-ons, Jay Williams, get in there and do some good stuff, who was a manager. There was an article about him. So there was a difference just from experience and some ability and speed stuff. So it got scary in a hurry, and especially when you run the ball and not have any of those guys out there, it changed the dynamics a little bit.
Well, it's not none of it's like 36 power, right? We're not calling that one too much in the Savannah State offense. But when you say they don't know the playbook, it's not necessarily they don't know the plays where they're getting the ball. It's if they have to lead block, if they have to pass pro, any of that, that could get really dangerous for your offense really fast.
Yeah, probably the easiest position to learn on our offense is our receivers because the route concepts and trees are simple.
Yeah.
And they're good, but they're simple. Our backs have a lot. We're like, take a spread offense and flip it with having 100 different pass concepts. We've got 100 different run concepts,
right.
And where they have multiple reads and all that kind of stuff. And so, we have to simplify the playbook sometimes when you have a young guy. And I'll tell you a quick story, and I may have said this one before to you. We played somebody when I was at Tennessee, and Jamal Lewis was our tailback. Well, we lose the game. Jamal doesn't play a whole lot, and Coach Fulmer asked the next day, why was Jamal's carries limited? Why was his snaps limited? We couldn't learn the protection, and without breaking stride, Fulmer said, change the protection, get rid of the protection. The next week, Jamal ran for like 220 and had like 42 carries. So it was a good lesson for me. Don't make it too complicated that your best players can't play. And it was something that he was struggling with learning, and he didn't play because of it. We changed the playbook because that was Jamal Lewis, and he needed to be in the game to win the football game.
I think it's one of the cooler things we see with coaches, specifically with successful teams, is they're willing to not be overly rigid and adapt to their players. But, Coach, as you're looking through the box score in this game, I think the first thing that stuck out to me, and usually the box score can kind of lead you and say, hey, maybe this isn't why we won the game. You actually have to watch the tape to see why. But anytime you can score on offense, defense, and special teams, there's a very high probability you're going to win. And you guys were able to do that in this game. Naeem Bozeman gets a 53-yard punt return for you guys. And then you also have Salik McCray return a fumble. So you guys able to score in all three phases of the game.
Yeah, we did. And then actually Enosh Carter scored a punt return, kickoff return. They called it back for a pancake block. And pancakes are now holding in the SIAC, I guess. But we had a discussion with the officials, and they do a good job of that. That's been rough. We've had 2 weeks in a row we pancaked the guy with a flag. But, yeah, you got to score a lot of ways. And, there's a statistic out there we did a couple years ago, Christian, that if you block a punt, about 80% of the time you win the game. Well, we blocked one and they blocked one, but we were able to score on offense and defense, and we set up 21 points on defense with turnovers. So that was big, really big for us.
What do you attribute that really just an avalanche of points in the fourth quarter too? Because I know one of the biggest things for you guys is you want to be the more physical team, and that usually does pay off in the fourth quarter. But you see 28 unanswered points in the fourth quarter in a tightly contested game. What did you attribute that to?
The momentum swing. We got a really nice turnover by Levante Larry and Tim Campbell, and then we went down and scored. Next thing you know, it's 28-14. We come back and get another turnover, another score, and it was like bang, bang, bang. I wish I could bottle it and say, all right, let's open the bottle and everybody take this pill, and now we're going to do this. But, momentum was against us much of the third and early into the fourth. And when it swung the other way, it was like all their hope and belief went out the window, and you could kind of see those guys drop their heads on the other side, and you kind of knew, oh, here we go, and in a good way. And, gosh, I wish it happened earlier, though, because I'd enjoyed the game a lot more, because in the fourth quarter I was sweating bullets there for a while.
Again, though, a big win, remain undefeated in conference play, setting up a big-time matchup with Albany coming up this weekend. But we're going to take a quick break. We're going to wrap up this previous game and talk about some of the individual performances from the game, because I thought a few really stood out. We'll dive into those next right here on the Shawn Quinn Show on ESPN Radio. This is the Shawn Quinn Show right here on ESPN Savannah. Christian Gokel, glad to have you alongside, and wrapping up what was a big win over Clark Atlanta, 49-14. And Coach, a few individual performances I thought stood out. We already talked about Elijah Carter. I mean, 6 carries, 109 yards, a touchdown. But I want to get this right. Adante Daverow. 3 receptions, 86 yards, a touchdown, and a 57-yard reception there, making plays on the outside.
Stud, great guy. Wasn't going to play. Went and got a second opinion on his foot, and then played the game, played his butt off, and we were joking and laughing in the locker room afterwards. Glad he went and got second opinion, and played really good. It's been a super good guy. Walk-on guy from the Atlanta area, come in here and earned a scholarship, and just a stud. And he's just a smooth guy, makes plays, and just a winner. And what we want to be about his program. So fun to see guys like that have success, and glad he was out there. He had his orange shoes on for the orange out, and look good, feel good, play good.
And Coach, we've talked about this guy before, and it's always good when they're talking about you on the Coaches Show multiple times. Cam Brown, 2 sacks, another couple of tackles in this game as well, just really imposing his will. He also got a forced fumble in there as well.
Yeah, he has a way of finding the football, and you enjoy coaching those guys that are athletic and just have some personality. He's a drummer in the church. Got a great person. Going to be a teacher. Trying to talk him out of that right now. But all joking aside, good football player, makes a lot of plays, and been here a number of years now. So another guy who was a walk-on, earned a scholarship. So you love to see those guys that really weren't recruited come in and do some really good things. So a lot of fun, and got to keep playing well with them.
And another guy, McKinley Newbill, he got a sack and a half as well, 3 tackles for a loss. Haven't said his name a lot before, but another one of those guys making plays. Yeah,
a good local player, South Effingham. I believe his father works over at the Port. A good family, good group of people, and brother is a walk-on player here at linebacker, and will have a chance down the line to help us. Just good, solid family, and a local guy playing really good. And he transferred in here and walked on and earned a scholarship too. So give him a lot of credit. I think he's a really good football player. Fun to see those local guys do really well.
And Coach, I love talking about him every week. Kenneth Lockhart, 7 for 7 on PATs. Averaging just over 37 yards a punt, but did have a long of 46 and was able to pin Clark inside the 20 on one of his punts, just becoming a weapon there on special teams.
Good, really good young player from back down where you're from, near Bradwell. I went to Bradwell Institute, family's military down there, and just a good kicker. He had a low kick on a long field goal that got blocked. We got to continue work on that. But, man, he's got a bright future. Anytime you're elected a captain as a freshman, as a specialist, that says something about you.
So I know you guys were up until 4 a.m. on Sunday morning just watching tape and going over it, you and all the other coaches. But when you got back,
actually we weren't. I went to bed pretty early on Saturday night.
I'm trying to help you out, and make you seem like you're just grinding all day on Saturday. But I know you guys have had a chance to sit back and watch this tape, and obviously that fourth quarter was really enjoyable to watch. But I'm sure some notes being taken from all 4 quarters. What were the things you guys put down that you wanted to address at practice this week?
Well, big thing was silly penalties. We had a lot of penalties. Some of those were legit penalties and things we got to continue to get better at. And the other part is just finishing jobs and, keeping drives alive on offense. We shot ourselves in the foot a couple times. And then defensively, don't get a silly penalty that keeps a drive alive. So just playing cleaner. And then obviously we can correct, some X's and O stuff. As long as your effort's great and you play with good football IQ, we're going to be fine. But sometimes, you're going to miss an assignment or something. But you don't ever want to be based on effort, Christian, or something, a silly penalty. And those are things we got to eliminate and continue to work on as a team.
And, Coach, a huge game coming up this Saturday. You guys hit the road to take on Albany State. That one's a 2:00 kick. And really, Coach, this one, I don't want to get too hyperbolic here, but probably for the SEAC East, because you guys right now sit 1-2, the only undefeated teams on this side of the conference right now. And it's going to be tough. Like if you win, to see you lose 2 conference games, or flip that around and see Albany State lose 2 conference games. So, like I said, I don't want to be hyperbolic, but this one feels like it might be for this side of the conference.
It's a great opportunity. I'll leave it at that. Albany State's been the premier program in the East for years, and Gabe Gardini, who I worked with for a short time at Charleston Southern's done a good job there. And, you knew this one was coming. Our guys pay attention to the standings. We talk about a roadmap where we're at, where we want to get to. And obviously I was concerned getting ready for this week because we had a trap game being a homecoming in between that. But, we had a good week of practice so far, and they're really good. Obviously want to continue to put some distance between us and the other teams on our side. So we got to find a way to win the game. So they're going to be a tough opponent, do a great job, very well coached. That school is committed from top to bottom to football being excellent there. So they do a great job there, and, got good players. So we'll have to play good football. And, I give an analogy. It's like Florida and Georgia playing, you're going to be playing somebody who's got really good players like you and very well coached. And so that'll be the challenge. So got to go get after it and have a good week. And we've had a good week so far.
And, Coach, it's been a couple of guys carrying the ball for them on offense. Marcus Fulks and Cam Ward there. But Fulks has really, it seems, carried the load for me. He has 435 yards on the season and 8 touchdowns. For the Savannah State fans that are going to be watching that game, just kind of give us a preview of what we should expect from the Golden Rams.
Very good on offense. They run a version of the option like we do. They're a little bit maybe more spread than they've been. But they run the football, 2 backs, quarterback can run, throw it. Good young player last year. We played him in 19. Defensively, they're the number 1 defense in the league. And so that challenge will be for us to be able to move the football. They do a good job. They play a style which lets them win. They play great defense. They run the football effectively, great on special teams. And kind of what our formula we're trying to do is very similar to theirs. So very well coached. They got a lot of players that we've recruited, and vice versa. We got a lot of guys they recruited. So they're probably we're very similar in a lot of ways. But they're the flagship. They've won the championship. They've been the Eastern champs. We're kind of like a new kids on the block, and they're like Van Halen. They're well established. So we're just a boy band trying to learn how to get another hit single. So
I would pay money to hear the Shawn Quinn and rest of the staff, I guess. Who would be the other 3 members from the staff that would be a part of that boy band? Because it's typically 4, right?
Yeah, I'm good looking and I can dance well. I don't know how well I can sing. I'd leave that to the rest of the staff. So
Coach Amasi's got to be on there. I mean,
yeah, the Italian stallion, he's going to be there somewhere. He'd probably be on the keyboard or something.
I mean, absolutely. And then we'll figure out who the other 2 are.
Yeah.
I do have a bone to pick with you, though. I mean, we have a good friend that comes on our show all the time, and we had no idea you had made him a part of your coaching staff, Jeff Owens, helping out at Savannah State. We love Big Jeff.
Yeah. And Jeff's awesome, man. He, his wife's in the military, and he played in Georgia and played in the NFL and was a great player. And he wanted to get into coaching, and he's volunteered with us. He's helping with our defensive line, and he's done an awesome job, man. Just high energy. I think he's got a bright future in coaching if he decides to stay in it. If he's smart, he'll get out. But Jeff's, I can't say enough good things about him. And his wife's over at Fort Stewart there and at Hunter, and just a great guy. He's able to pour into our guys and give them great advice. Being an NFL guy playing at the University of Georgia and not being too far removed from the game. And then obviously we got a really good defensive line coach in Tom Sims, and he's been a nice bonus for him and be able to work with some guys one-on-one and just mentor him as much as anything else. So I'm glad he's there. I wish he had some more eligibility. We'd play him right now.
I was going to say, if you want to look at somebody's resume, go look at Tom Sims' resume and then get back to me. Because I mean, you have Jeff Owens helping out with the defensive line, but Tom Sims, I don't care what level you're at, that's about as good as it gets. Yeah, Tom's coached at every major place you could, and been really fortunate he stayed here. He's had some other opportunities, and he enjoys Savannah and enjoys working with the kids. He's got a great group of defensive linemen he's working with here. So very experienced. I'm not the oldest guy in the room, so I take that with pride that somebody's older than me because we have a fairly young staff besides Tom and I. But he does a great job, and Jeff's been a great addition with the D-line with him. Coach, looking back at the Golden Rams here as we got that game coming up at 2 o'clock on Saturday, 15 different guys with at least 1 sack. And I know that doesn't inherently translate well to attacking your offense because you guys run the football so much, but it's I know a lot of coaches call it the havoc plays where they're able to get the tackle for losses in the backfield. When you're looking at your offense from the defensive perspective, what's the first place you want to attack? And then I guess from the offensive perspective, what's that first thing you have to neutralize from another defense? Well, you always got to protect the A-gaps. If you can expose somebody up the middle, that's an old Jimmy Johnson who was the defensive coordinator with the Eagles for years. I remember him, passed away, but he wrote a book about great defense, and I read it. And one of the main synopsis points was A-gap dominance. You're going to have a hard day moving the football. And so you, as an offense, you want to be able to be vertical in the run game and attack up the middle and be able to run and not make game a sideways game. And defensively, the flip of it is you want to make everything go east and west versus north and south. And so that's kind of that's the battle of attrition you got to be able to do, is be able to run the football vertically. When you can do that, you got a chance to win every game. And when we played well, we're able to run the ball north and south. When we struggle, it's when it's all perimeter stuff, and vice versa. Defensive, we can get you running to the sideline. There's an old joke I say, Sammy Sideline's our best tackler. That guy on the sideline hasn't missed one in 26 years, and he won't. So we try to use the sideline as the 12th defender in everything that we do. Well, I want to kind of stick with that note. We're going to take a quick break here. We'll come back, wrap it up. We have a question in the mailbag here that we need to get to, but I have a question that I'm throwing into the mailbag. So we'll dive into that when we come back right here on ESPN Radio Savannah. Diving into the Shawn Quinn mailbag here, and if you want to submit your question, Christian at ESPNcoastal.com. And Coach, we have about a minute to answer both of these. So we'll start. Malik has sent in one, and he wants to know if we'll ever see the tiger stripes back again on the uniforms. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We got to get new uniforms. Our uniforms are 6 years old, so we're in the process, hopefully raising some money here and getting new unis, so you never know what you might find. I'd really like to have more than a stripes on the tiger. I'd like to have a live tiger there. That would really up the ante. So, I'm a fan of what Alabama wears and folks like that, kind of a classy, just come out and line up and kick your butt look. So I don't know if I'm a big stripe guy, but we've got them on the practice pants. Our old game pants are now the practice pants. So you come to practice, you'll see the stripes. We can take a look at what the Bengals did. I mean, because I think they did a classy version of the stripes kind of on the shoulder pads there. So we'll take a look and we'll get back to you. I mean, graphic designer Christian right here. I'll go with Coach Quinn and we'll come up with a concept. But Coach, another thing I wanted to ask is we were talking about just controlling the middle of an offense with your interior defensive line. And we've seen guys like Ndamukong Suh in the past make Heisman runs because just of how dominant they were and what they were able to do in the game. Jordan Davis up at Georgia this year is kind of making some noise in that same vein. But I think the one thing that keeps defensive linemen for the most part out of the running is so much of what they do, much like offensive linemen, you can't categorize it with stats. So you can't go back and look at a box score and say, oh, wow, he had 19 of these or he had 20 of these in this game. If you had to come up with one stat for a defensive lineman that we could put in front of these Heisman voters and say this is just as impactful as 5 yards a carry, what would it be?
Well, doing your job would be probably, but I would say
a DYJ.
Yeah, do your job. It would be either, I would say, quarterback pressure, quarterback hurry, or a TFL. If you get a negative play on defense in a series, generally you're going to force them to punt. So, a great D-line game might be 2.5 tackles, 1 sack, 4 pressures, and then you had no loafs. But that's not going to show up in the stats.
What about blockers absorbed per play? So a BAP.
Yeah.
This guy averages like 2.5 blockers absorbed per play.
Yeah, because in our system, the linebacker is going to – most of the linebackers are going to get really the rewarded for the defensive line taking on multiple blockers. So you don't see that statistically, and you won't see it statistically. Really, the only guy who could ever win it on defense really would be a Mike linebacker, because that's really the only guy that statistically could ever have enough of an impact.
Yeah.
D-tackle would have a chance. A D-end will never win it because you'll never have too many plays away from you. Same thing with a corner. It's a fact that Woodson won it is an anomaly. I still can't believe it to this day that he beat Peyton Manning for the trophy that year. But I still think there may have been something in the count on the accounting firm that counted those votes. Yeah, right. I'm going to call there. They need to have a commission on that one. Recount them.
That's what if Shawn Quinn ever retires, that's going to be his retirement.
No. I will be in a foreign land previewing places to eat.
I'll be right beside you.
Anthony Bourdain with better looks.
Love that. Shawn Quinn joining us here on the Shawn Quinn Show. You can listen to it every week. If you missed any portion of the show today, check it out on ESPNCoastal.com. Again, Savannah State taking on Albany State for control of that Eastern Division. Coach, we really appreciate the time, man. Good luck on Saturday.
Hey, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for the coverage. Go Tigers. We'll talk to you soon.